So this is another sort of lens to look at triads through. And it's one that, if you get slick with it, is really satisfying because it's melodic. It's a handy way to, like, especially if you're like interested in playing sessions, or you're in musical scenarios where you have a very loose sort of like guideline as to what to play. Like maybe someone's just strumming like big open chords for you, and they're like, play something complementary to that. Do something to make this more interesting. Which is like honestly probably a lot of the gigs that I get. It's like you get like in sessions or studio work, they'll give you a real sort of like broad view of what the song would be. So just like number charts in Nashville. So like 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, or whatever. And then they just like hand it off to you and they're like, make something good with those chords. What that typically looks like in my experience is learning how to provide like a melodic contour or shape, which is a fancy way of just saying a melody, inside your chord voicings. So we want to take on the role of obviously playing the chords, which triads let us do, obviously. That's our first and foremost responsibility oftentimes as rhythm section instruments, harmonic ones, I suppose, piano and guitar. So we want to play the chords, we want to represent the harmony, but we don't want to just strum a big C major chord because it's not all that engaging to your listeners. It's serviceable, but it's not engaging. So what we want to look at now, I have a couple examples to this effect, but basically you can use your triad shapes to provide movement. So again, they have like the effect of being tight and defined, but you also have very like specific voice leading mechanics in triad shapes, especially if you abide by that string set principle of like using adjacent shapes on the same string set. You can hear very clearly of like sort of a melodic shape to things if you get comfortable moving between the shapes. And so maybe what you want to do, I mean, I suppose like a very primal or a primitive example of this is doing it for diatonic chords, which by the way, if you can't do it for diatonic chords, this is a good assignment this week. But I'll do it in the key of A because the song we're about to look at is in the key of A. If you can't play the diatonic triads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 in each of the different inversions. So I'll start in first inversion. That's a good way to start practicing this stuff. So grab a string set, top 3 strings in this case. Okay, I'm playing A major, first inversion, and I'm going to play up through the diatonic chords in first inversion. So only playing in first inversion, but playing all the triads. So just to give you guys some context, 1 or A major, B minor is 2, C sharp minor 3, D, E, F sharp minor, diminished on the 7, okay, and then 1. So even in that, you can hear I'm playing chords, and if I was playing in the context of a song, I could use any of those voicings to represent the harmony. But obviously, there's a melody. I use that word sort of loosely here because it's just the major scale, but right, there's a little sort of phrase on top. We hear the top note of any given chord voicing that we use. We hear it melodically, or at least potentially we do, if you are treating it conscientiously, as in you're mindful of what the top note is of your voicing, and then mindful of what the next note is, or next top note of the next chord is. If you get in that habit of thinking sort of in a context of treating the top note of your chord voicing like its own melody, in chord melody style guitar playing, which you're going to have master classes on, is a good way of getting into this manner of thinking. If you look at it from that perspective, you can use that top note to create a melodic shape while you are also supplying the harmony.